We all wish we could bring our Disney vacation home with us, right? To have that Disney feeling every day? Well, why not start your day the Disney way with a Disney blend from Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company? With over 23 varieties to choose from the French bistro you find in your resort room to the Yachtsman Steakhouse and Gico, of course, and now Joffrey's newest Disney blend, Le Cellier. Why not start your day with that Disney magic? Order yours today at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
We are now stopping at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, a Victorian-style hotel offering the modern conveniences of a full-service spa and health club. For dinner, we invite you to experience the casual elegance of Citricos, specializing in American cuisine with a distinct Tuscan flair.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott.
I'm Bob Collar.
It's that time of the month, Bob. We just barely squeaked it in.
Well, it's been kind of a busy month with Thanksgiving and all, and, Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And
crazy.
Who has time? Who has time other than our incredible DVC Roundtable?
Awesome. That's right. It's the DVC Roundtable show for November 2016.
There you go.
Joining us on the table. Let's go. Joe Quattrochi. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, guys. Happy holidays, everybody.
To be honest, I'm not sure why I said good morning. It's in the evening.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing.
It's okay. It's podcasting magic.
Exactly. Rebecca Toon, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Emily Hansa Hicks is here.
Well, hello there, everyone.
Hey, and good friend of the show, Mr. Chris Malick.
Good morning, Bob and Tim. I'm covering for you.
I appreciate that. Somebody's got to. Oh, this is the DVC Roundtable. Has everybody had a great Thanksgiving? Did we all give thanks?
We did.
Yes, we did.
I am thankful for tequila.
Whenever you marinate your
My
turkey,
family.
this time.
By the way, I apologize right out of the gate. I'm battling a head cold. So there may be some coughing, some horrible, horrible coughing that you may hear. But it's not contagious. You guys are safe.
I'm with you, Bob.
So,
and I believe that it wasn't contagious, except everybody in Northeast Ohio has it. So
I think you're right.
I'm not sure how that happened.
Have you been hanging out with Emily without us again?
I have met Emily outside of a Walt Disney World park. Yes,
You've been in her bubble.
I have met the children that you sometimes hear in the background. Yes, yes. So she actually lives in Christmas Land, if you will.
Yes.
Her little town looks just like a Norman Rockwell painting of what Christmas is.
It looks like the town that Belle lives in.
That who lives in?
Belle lives in from Beauty and the Beast.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Right?
My kids now know the Village song, and I like to sing this poor provincial town right when we're driving through Main Street on the way to school.
Yeah.
That is why I always travel with a taser.
In case you see me, what's going on there?
I don't know when I heard that, and Tim said that, and I've adopted it as a phrase that I just attach to everything now, and that is why I always carry a taser.
You never know.
I've said it 3 times at work today.
Gaston is not real. It's just a character.
Darn it.
That's hey.
I think I know a couple of guest songs, actually. They're not always as good looking, but they're usually similarly.
Well, Tim, we have the roundtable here to talk DVC. Great. There's a lot going on DVC-wise in the Walt Disney World and Disney community as far as DVC goes, including some crazy stuff going on at Hilton Head. So why don't you get the crew started tonight?
All right, let's get in with the news. Emily, why don't you start us up with our first news story in regards to the DVC for this month?
Sounds like a plan. So this is exciting. The DVC members web portal has been changed, and they've had a couple of changes like this over the years, thank goodness, because they've all really been improvements in my opinion. Some of the services that now can be done online used to only be able to be done with a phone call. Now you can request to enroll in automatic payments. You can change your bank account or credit card information associated with those payments. You can pay your annual dues online. using a gift card, which is something you used to have to call in for, or a Disney Rewards redemption card. And back in the good old days, you used to actually have to fax in copies of the Disney gift card, so that was pretty crazy.
Oh, wow.
You can also take advantage of making the partial payments on your loans if you have those, or on your annual dues. And you can save credit cards for future payments. And you can view your 1098 tax information for the last 2 years, which is handy if you are able to take advantage of any kind of property tax credits or anything like that, or deductions. And I will say that all of these have to do with them taking your money more easily.
Always.
Shocker.
Always.
Quicker.
I keep joking about it, but it would be convenient if they would just set up direct deposit from my payroll into like my Disney fund. So, yep, there you go. So that's a lot of the new updates.
There you go. So instead of like a Christmas club account, they should have a Disney club account. I like that.
Well,
idea.
I'm sure you've heard of the Disney vacation account, but if you haven't, we could talk about that at a later date.
Yeah, but I'm saying
another thing,
your bank should do that. Make it easy.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, we do have an account specifically called the Vacation Savings Account.
Nice.
Which has functioned in that way. But one other thing I think that we may want to touch on someday are whether or not you pay your dues in a lump sum at the beginning of the year, or monthly, or why not.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody cares, but it's something to think about.
Okay. Joe, what do you have?
Well, I'm just kind of going to elaborate on what we talked about during the last show. Unfortunately, with the unwelcome arrival of Hurricane Matthew back the last October, Disney's Hilton Head Island Resort is continuing to feel the effects of Hurricane Matthew and what he left behind. According to our friends over at DVCinfo.com, annual dues for Disney's Hilton Head Island Resort will rise about 46 cents per point. That's going to go from $6.81 to $7.27. That's about a 6.7% increase. It looks like Disney made a loan to, I guess, the association. Now, we always refer to as Disney's Hilton Head Island Resort. But remember, it's a group of owners, us, that actually own and pay the maintenance on the property. So it looks like Disney loaned the association, quote unquote, about $750,000 for repairs. And it looks like that's going to be paid up over the next 5 years. Those installments are going to start January 1st, and it will continue from 5 years from them. And the loan that Disney is going to make to the association in Hilton Head, according to DVCinfo.com, is going to increase about 1.33% a year. So it's bad that dues are going up that much. It's an assessment. If you live in any kind of condominium or townhome or any HOA kind of community, these things happen. It really stinks when it happens to your vacation resort. So this is always something that when we talk every month about, is it worth it to buy? This is something that, when you're looking to buy a contract either from Disney or on the resale market, this is something that you need to figure into your financial equation, something like this. So our brothers and sisters who own over at Hilton Head, they're going to be assessed the 6.7% increase starting January. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So we're feeling for you guys over in Hilton Head. But yeah, that's what's going on over there. So hopefully whatever damage that they did sustain, they will get it back up and running and looking better than ever.
So does anybody know if that considered a large increase, or what's a normal dues increase?
Emily has a spreadsheet.
Yeah, Emily's got the spreadsheet. I think that's I think it's a pretty big increase.
I think that's a pretty, just from what I recall, it's pretty hefty. I think, isn't it somewhere around 3, maybe 2?
Okay.
So I would sort of, let's see, how much is the increase again? It's 60.
It's a 45 cents a year, or 45 cents a point per year.
45 cents a point. So the way to do it is,
what percentage is that? It's $6.81 to $7.27.
So it's probably about 6% or 7%.
Yeah,
which is on the high end, but it's not it's not abnormal. I think Bay Lake Towers had a hike of like 12% once. It doesn't happen often, but it's always paired with, I think that one had like issues with the walkway between the main lodge or the Contemporary and Bay Lake Tower. So I actually don't think it's that bad. I'm not gonna lie.
When something like that happens, does that single DVC resort absorb the entire cost, or do the other resorts also absorb some of that
I think this is something that
Just that one.
Yeah, because Disney loaned that association, I guess the Hilton Head Island owners, that money, so they fund them to fix it. So,
if I'm doing the math right, that's for like around 200 points. That's $92 for the year.
It's about 50 cents on the dollar. Yeah.
And I would argue you're only going to see that in a hurricane year, probably.
Yeah.
And it's a small price to pay for having a property that you don't have to deal with the hurricane directly. I mean, like, you are paying for other people to deal with a hurricane for $100 once every couple years. But
if say that did happen every couple of years, like if there's a historical like occurrence of that happening every couple of years, would that sort of deter you from buying at this particular property?
Emily was correct, though. It's not historically like the highest we've seen. Saratoga goes up at about 5% every year. So to be up at like 7%, it's still in the realm of, okay, that's fairly reasonable. It's not like it's a 17% increase due to catastrophic hurricane damage. So probably not, so.
And Rebecca, I think, my family, I think I mentioned on the show where we featured Hilton Head, my family regularly went to Hilton Head once every other year or so growing up. And we about hurricanes, and we watched the calendar for them, and we were really we were always aware that there were hurricanes going on there. So I think if you were interested in going to Hilton Head and you knew that every couple of years you'd get a little spike because of a hurricane, and you didn't want to own a property there outright, like a full your own property that you have to deal with, I think it's reasonable to say every couple of years I'm going to have to pay $100 instead of $60 more a year.
I see. And are the Hilton Head points less expensive than other resorts, like resale right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that makes a huge difference on the initial buy-in, but just out of curiosity.
Has anybody seen?
Barrow and Hilton Head are the cheapest.
Has anybody seen what the damage looked like? Was it substantial, or was it?
I haven't.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Chris, what do you got going on?
Actually, I got a couple pieces I want to talk about, and, I got some blurbs, but I also want to read, if I could cheat a little bit, I want to read from the Disney Files magazine, because they further expand upon the story. So I guess with all respect to Ryan March, the editor, and Ken Potrock, the senior vice president, I'm going to read directly from their magazine, if that's okay. So the first story is about the Wilderness Lodge DVC refurbishment. So I don't know if you guys have had a chance to take a look at the picture of what the new the new Boulder Ridge Cove Pool area is going to look like. Have you guys seen that yet? Any of the pictures?
Saw some renderings. It's nice.
No, but I'm going to check it out.
Oh, it's ridiculously good.
It is.
So just briefly here, the Boulder Ridge Cove Pool opened in the summer of 2017. Updates will include a themed water tower, larger sun deck, and a zero-entry pool. There's also going to be a new quick-service restaurant near the pool. Supposedly it's going to be named the Geyser Point Bar and Grill. So as Disney Files has it so eloquently stated, so if I could read from it. The Boulder Ridge Villas at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, as noted in the fall edition of the Disney Files magazine, a sweeping reimagination of the former Hidden Springs pool area will help tell the richly layered backstory of Boulder Ridge, the thematic home to the recently renamed Boulder Ridge Villas at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. Depicted in the artist rendering below, of course, imagine at this point, right? Because there's no rendering. It's me. So, yeah, at least one laugh. Come on, guys.
I gave you a chuckle.
Thank you. It's scheduled to open summer of 2017. It's going to feature an expanded sun deck, zero-depth entry pool, and what appears to be an abandoned rock quarry. Such rejuvenating transformations were common in the Pacific Northwest following the mid-20th century fading of the Transcontinental Railroad, as locals turned rails into trails, repurposing everything from bridges and tunnels to cranes and quarries. A nearby Boulder Ridge Railway and Mining Company water tower and vintage minecart will be amongst the pool's landmark remainders of its pioneering past. So if you could just imagine or even see the artist rendering, it looks fantastic. There's something about this and the way it sits right there on Bay Lake that makes it look just really special. So pretty unique, pretty special.
Looking forward.
I'm excited about this because this has been my favorite resort forever, and I've never ever stayed there, and it's kind of weird to me that the first time I'm sure that I will ever stay there is going to be after this transformation. But I'm excited. I think it's going to be a fantasy land of the West.
Emily, I've stayed at like 5 or 6, and it's my favorite resort. And there's just something there that resort has that none of the other resorts have, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's being that close, but yet kind of secluded away and kind of isolated that makes it special. But it's pretty cool. So, all right, you guys up for something else? Up for a little bit of Soarin'?
Oh, I love this.
Bring it.
My favorite.
All right, so let's. I would say show of hands, but that would be kind of useless. Show of hands. Who's going on the new Soarin'?
Ooh.
I've gone on it a million times.
No, I haven't.
Man,
Not
awesome.
yet.
It's awesome.
All right, so yeah, give me 1 to 10. What do you think? Is it a 10? Is it a 9? What is it?
10.
Depending on where you sit, it's a 10.
Okay.
I might be
Somewhere
in the,
between a 6 and a 10.
I think I'm in the minority. I like the old one better.
Ooh.
I just like the golf ball coming at me from.
I don't think you're. I think
That
there's-
avoids you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that believe that. I love it, but if I got to choose, I might choose the old one too.
Really?
I would not. I would
you know
not.
what? I don't like. I love the surprise moments, those at your face moments, but I don't need them in every single scene. And the CGI.
I will agree that I
becomes-
yelped in one of them.
Yeah, the CGI in suspension of reality becomes a little too much for me.
Okay.
So,
Well-
my own personal opinion.
Well, let me exploit all our Disney geekiness here a little bit, because as part of the Disney Vacation Club's membership magic program, a new exclusive tour is going to be offered. According to the member website, a backstage tour of Soarin' is available for eligible members. These are scheduled to begin November 30th on most Wednesdays from 8 to 9 in the morning. You need to have theme park admission, your membership card, and you can bring up to 3 guests. The minimum age is 16 years old. So, what do you think about that? How interesting is that to you guys?
I love it.
Is there a cost to it, Chris?
You know, as far as I can tell, no. And even in the article that I'm reading, which is 2 paragraphs, I can't find a cost.
I didn't see that either.
Members
who's
and their
taking
guests.
me?
Yeah,
Who's taking me?
no doubt. Joe,
For one seat, Rebecca's in for the other. Who else is going?
Don't give me any ideas.
I'm in.
and this is available at the California Adventure Park, as well as now it's making its way to Walt Disney World Resort. So,
That's awesome.
but I don't think there's a cost, and it looks like you can discover all the technology behind the attraction.
That's awesome.
I would
So the
hope,
one thing-
I would hope for it only being an hour long that they wouldn't charge for that. It's only from 8 to 9 in the morning.
I've seen some other things they charge for that. So.
Yeah,
They
Well,
are
that's
charging
true.
$600 for the banners.
No,
Well,
that's
there you
really
go.
I don't
So
know
I-
that that's really the decision point.
You know,
I have
nice,
heard-
nice to get something back though.
Absolutely.
At 0
Right.
cost. So,
I have heard, and I don't know if it's true, that this is booked out through the 180-day mark, so that you actually have to be at you can do new bookings as they become available 180 days out, but that they are pretty much chock full until we reach that period. I don't
I've got
know
a
if it's true,
resort
but-
pin. I'm good.
Yeah, that's right.
You're in.
It's
It's okay.
I'll
I've
always
got
let
Bob's
you in.
business card. I'm pretty sure that gets us in anywhere.
That's
No,
right.
you made me choke
Sen-
there for a second. No, that won't get you in anywhere. Trust me.
And Senator Tim Scott's business card too. I'm good. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're good wherever. Yeah.
So there are blockout dates, and you have to be 40 inches or taller to ride the attraction, just
Now,
so you know.
does it end with a ride on Soarin'?
Yes, it said somewhere in there there is a ride. So you get a tour and then you get to ride it.
Okay, I'm in. Let's go. It's time for a field trip, guys.
I think it's interesting that you have to be 16 or older. I don't know why I think that's interesting, but just maybe I think they do try to target their audiences, but it seems like I feel like a 10-year-old or older could probably get something out of it. But then again, I haven't been on the tour.
Maybe there's places they'll stick their hands or fingers that you don't want
Yeah,
them.
that's what I was thinking.
That's right.
You won't get stuck in the Soarin' mechanism. I learned that the hard way a couple of years ago.
So I won't be able to take Tim, is what you're saying.
They're checking for mental ages, and I'm way down.
It's
I was
the
gonna
age
say, I
and
think
height
chronological
requirement,
age is-
Bob.
Listen, this is the guy that still sticks his fingers in the water at Pirates of the Caribbean. So
I didn't do that
Well,
last.
you know,
Maybe.
when he loses a finger,
Yeah,
he'll stop.
Stubby.
yeah, there you go.
Stubby.
I won't be typing A on the keyboard very easily.
Old four fingers.
Senator Scott, get your hands inside the boat.
That's awesome. I would totally do it. I would totally do that.
I think
Unless you're in the park early, why not?
Well, there you go.
I think it'd be fantastic.
Any opportunity to get into the park early is a good opportunity.
That would be true. That is so true.
Right?
I would say anytime you could do something new. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're most likely a veteran. You know, we've all done these things before. For a new experience, especially if it's free, absolutely.
What attraction would you like to see on a tour? If they're going to add something else, what do you think?
Hang on, this is the ultimate fast pass before
In
the park
any park,
opens.
Tim?
Any park, yeah.
I loved the one we saw at Haunted. We kind of got to go back in and behind Haunted Mansion, and that was pretty awesome.
Ooh,
That's amazing.
That would be a good one.
That was very cool. I think Tower of Terror, because I really want to go over that rail. I really want to go play checker or chess, and I want to touch things a lot, which may be one of the requirements.
Look at my bag.
Look at my bag.
I would say the Speedway, but then again, I owned a '70 Ford Pinto, so I don't really need to. I don't need to go behind the scenes to see that.
Do not strike the car ahead of you.
No.
Talking about doing new things, I actually rode that for the first time last month. It was ridiculous.
Yes, you actually FaceTimed that entire thing, didn't you?
No, I did not drive. I was a passenger.
Sure. All right.
I did not live feed and drive. Yeah.
So,
You know what kids love?
Bob, do you want to see that poor bugger out there pulling like the lawnmower over and over again for every car?
Yes.
Swearing.
Yes,
83
that's
times?
the background I want. I want to see those guys just covered in oil and grease underneath those little cars going, are you kidding me? We can't put batteries in these?
No.
Bob, Tim and I will take you to a race if you want to watch that. Tim's been to Daytona. I've been to Daytona. We'll take you to Daytona.
Please do.
Hey, electric cars. There's other options.
Speaking of which, real quick tangent here. Speaking of which, who is excited for Cars 3?
Oh, forget about it.
Have you seen Cars 3?
Family.
Yes.
I've seen the
It's better
trailer.
than Cars 2.
Oh my gosh. I think it's going to be phenomenal, by the way.
I'm excited about Moana. I keep hearing amazing things about it.
Hear fantastic
Oh, I cannot
things
wait
about
to
that.
see that.
I've heard amazing things.
I'm already obsessed with the Polynesians, so it's just going to be...
Gonna
I
drive
may get some tattoos, guys. I may get some tattoos.
Alrighty
Hey,
then.
Emily, you talk about the Polynesian. What do you know about that?
Speaking of-
Yeah.
Nice
Oh,
segue.
yeah. You know, we were talking about things that didn't exist before and are free now, and let's talk about something that already existed and now you can pay money for.
Oh, well done, Emily.
Thanks. That was what I had set up there. So those beautiful Polynesian covered patio things, they're kind of angular, you know, those beautiful kind of like evoking longhouse things. You wouldn't really even call it a cabana, I would say. But those are now available for rent. Yes, you're right, you could use them free before, but now there is a rental fee of $26 for a half day or $43 for a full day rental. It does not, from what I can tell, include any amenities. And the reasoning that they've offered is because of guests monopolizing the patios. So I don't know how all of you feel about this. I'd love to hear, but I will first offer my opinion that they are just... it seems like this price tag thing, they're just sticking price tag stickers on anything that's already there and seeing if people will pay it. And the Oasis pool is lovely. However, it's a quiet pool. It's not, I'm not sure if it's a quiet pool actually, but it's a very peaceful pool. There are no water slides. Like, this is typically, most of the resorts have these sort of off center, not a feature pool. And now you're going to pay money to rent essentially, you know, a pavilion is what I would call it. I'm not sure how many seats are going to be available, but from what I could see, there were no extra amenities being offered with those, just the ability to pay for them.
Is there I don't think I've seen these, so I'm curious. So you're saying it's just basically a covered space. Is there a table? Are there chairs in them?
I don't know that there are. I think you can bring in... there are lounge chairs, just like there are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's what I got to say. Here's what I got to say.
Go for it.
All right, now I'm upset.
Ooh,
all right,
I feel like
listen.
Bob's got his angry eye.
Listen, I do.
King of the old man came. Watch out.
That's right. I will keep this. I'm keeping this ball. Listen, Tim and I talked about this. This was episode 304, Tim. Just be nice. We have a real issue with campers, not people going to the camp, but people who will put their towels on chairs or take the umbrella tables at the pool, and then they walk away and they go to the parks and they do whatever they're going to do and expect okay, now that's mine. That's mine. And I get to keep that forever. People have ruined these things for everybody else. I'm angry. What's next? The cones over.
I'd like to know how you really feel.
What's next? The cones over at the
Yes, that's
cars.
Art of Animation.
Are we going to start charging for those too? Because some people just leave their stuff in there all day long and go wherever they go. Stop doing that, people. And then they can't charge us.
They were doing that at Old Key West, and one of the cast members, like we were there all day. We actually did sit in our chair all day. Right. And there was some people that came up with their towels down and then left. And after an hour, there was one of the cast members came by with one of those like claw dealies and just picked the towels up and put them in the towel return and walked away.
Nice.
So I feel like they may be
I like that guy.
Cracking down on those.
I had the same experience at the beach club. They just walked right by, and if there wasn't anybody present for a half an hour or so, they picked it right up.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's what that's what I like to see.
I completely
Called the collar movement, just so you know.
Vengeance is mine, saith Bob.
Vengeance is mine.
I completely agree with Bob and Tim. First of all, with the camping out and stuff like that. We've all been to all-inclusive resorts in the islands where people put their stuff out at like 5 a.m. and go back to sleep. You're like, really? I'm here. Also, too, for what, and this episode just came out, the price for this is, I think it's much more value than the $649 you can get with the cabanas. But that's another story. That's another story. It's a bargain, exactly, Tim. But the one thing you got to remember is I know this was free, and this is something that was free, and that's being taken away. But the majority of 5-star resorts and hotels that you will go to in Vegas, in the islands, wherever, if their cabanas available, they're usually for rent. Now, I know there's no amenities with this one, like there would be at other resorts, but it's gonna be to expect where you're gonna have prime seating that's covered in a hot Central Florida sun. And I think for that amount of money, $49-$50 for the whole day, that's not too bad. And I know if you're used to it being free, it's understandable. You're upset about it, but this is something that most resorts do usually charge for. But it sounds like this is going to be a DVC only thing. That this is not going to be for regular Polynesian Village resort guests. It sounds like you have to make it through DVC member services. Was this like, I guess this is a DVC only thing now, I would assume.
Yeah.
Well, it does say on the piece that I found, it says reservations can be made by calling the reservation center, DVC member services, or through an a la carte at the resort concierge.
Okay, so I guess if one's available that day, you could just snag one up.
Right. If this was a DVC exclusive offer, then you would be transforming these cabanas into sort of a benefit in essence, because they'd be exclusive only to DVC members. So it's a limited pool of people, sort of like the tours, even when you have to pay for them. At least it's going to be a smaller pool of people. But I can't get behind these things. They look like sort of like, I don't know, like suspended roofs with a couple of chairs underneath.
And I think if you add a few fans to them and maybe a little small like fridge, I think it's even the fans in the fridge, if you're there in July, it's not a bad value to get.
Yeah, maybe put some water bottles in.
Water and some fans, and you got me sold. So
perhaps some DVDs.
It's DVDs.
I would take the DVDs, Rebecca.
And Bob, you're still not welcome at these cabanas at the Polynesian.
Oh, I'm sure. You know me. I love the Polynesian. There are just parts of it they don't love me back. Now, Captain Cook's was fantastic, by the way. Just saying.
Yes, it was.
We had a great time at Captain
As was
Cook's.
Trader Sam's.
Trader Sam's was very nice to me as well as you guys were fantastic.
Oh, I think you can guys, carrying your own portable gazebo and just popping it up there next to the pool.
I wonder what they would do if you just brought like one of those tents along with you everywhere.
Oh yeah, like the little structure tents.
Yeah.
In the Magic Kingdom, put it up. In the Poly, put it up.
They would probably still charge you $469.
Like a corkage fee, only it's a pitching fee.
Yeah. It's like when you bring your own plastic bags to the grocery.
Let me ask you guys one question. Tim, I know you're a big fan of the Contemporary. They have these at the Contemporary. They're not a permanent structure. They're like more of like the softer sided ones. But does anybody know if they charge for those at the Contemporary? I know they have waiter or waitress service to those, but there's a few of the cabanas at the Contemporary that I remember seeing on my last trip. I do not know if those are free on a first come first served basis or if you have to pay for those.
You might have to pay. You need as much shade as you can get over there with all that concrete reflecting.
Oh, so I guess maybe this is something that was free, and I say this is maybe those were always paid for, and this is something that was free, and now you have to pay for it. I guess that's maybe the big issue here.
And it doesn't seem to come with any of the other like amenities. If you did have a private server or a server that came out from the pool bar and occasionally asked, if they added something like that in, sure, that makes sense to me. It makes more sense to me to pay the $600 to rent a cabana in the Magic Kingdom than it makes for me to rent a cabana for a half day at the pool at the Poly.
So here's my question: if they're not rented for the day, are they first come first serve? Are they just completely blocked off?
It's probably a la carte, I guess. It's gonna stay empty.
And how are they going to determine what is a half day and who is supposed to be in there and who's not supposed to be in there? Are you getting a wristband?
Right.
I would assume you would do it by blocks of time. I know in Vegas they do that sometimes, where you could rent it from this hour to this hour is when they're open. So maybe a half day would be from 7 a.m. or whenever the pool opens to 1 o'clock, and then from 1 o'clock to closing would be the other half. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of.
There'll be a cashier.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
I was just gonna say there'll be a cashier sitting right next to you there.
I feel like it's just one of those things we're charging just to see what happens.
Hand stamp.
That's what, honestly, Rebecca, I think that's what it is. But I could be wrong. The cabanas at the Contemporary include 2 padded lounge chairs, 2 padded straight back chairs, plush towels, LCD television with cable access, Bluetooth speakers, phone for internal resort calls, ceiling fan, mini refrigerator, fruit basket. So now I'm not exactly sure who is calling people.
Basket.
Yeah, the fruit basket, which is the same thing as those. I think the Magic Kingdom ones, right? You get a fruit basket, one per group, and the mini fridge is stocked with complimentary sodas and waters.
You'd be calling the front desk to get an extended line of credit, so you could.
Really?
Right. But it doesn't say on the Disney site how much they cost to rent, but I'm guessing it's at least $100.
Wow.
But I mean, like, if we start talking about adding in some things like a fruit basket or some water or anything like that, okay, but you're talking about a quiet pool. There's no water slide. It's not like you have to sit there and watch your kids play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not sure I understand that there have been people camping out there, so maybe you put like a 2-hour time limit on each group of guests.
I feel like that makes so much more sense.
Right, yeah, you're not adding...
How about just be more vigilant? Have the lifeguards walk around with a grabber tool, every hour instead of inflicting this upon people.
Instead of using it as a way to make money, just have your cast members do their job.
Well,
I think you're just putting people in a tough spot, because you're gonna have people there with families be like, "Oh, you need to leave now." It's like it makes for and not everybody is as understanding, I think, as the group of people on this podcast are now.
And I don't actually mean make them. I don't think I would advocate having a time limit where if you're there at 7 o'clock, well, you only get to stay here till 9. But if you're physically there at 7 o'clock, you can stay as long as you want.
Sure.
But if you just come and throw some towels in there and go to the park, I'm going to pick your towels up and then there's no really confrontation with that. The cast member just moves the stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. A well-placed sign does wonders to that too, as well.
Absolutely. If you leave personal property here and are not with it, it will be put in the main house. It'll be put in the lobby for retrieval and lost and found. I don't know. I feel like this is a weird money grab to me.
Possibly. We have not seen any crazy money grabs lately. From Disney. So, Rebecca, give us some good news, please.
So I feel like this is actually a really good story, since they're starting to charge for pool cabanas and cabanas in the Magic Kingdom. And so by popular demand, the member lounge at Epcot, which is in the Imagination Pavilion, which just opened this year, is actually the life of it has been extended and will remain open throughout 2017. So if you are a DVC member and are so inclined, you can stop by the second floor of the Imagination Pavilion. And it actually does come with complimentary soft drinks, Wi-Fi, rest, relax. You can rest, you can relax, you can recharge your phone. You can book some dining reservations if you need to do. But all of that is complimentary for DVC members. There is no charge for that. And most of the DVC members that I know and speak to are very excited that this will remain open through the next year.
Nice. So we get to take friends up?
I believe if you are there, you can bring friends.
Oh, Bob, we got to find some friends.
I would be more than happy to bring you up there, Tim.
You guys have friends at high places, don't worry.
They have a photo booth in there that you can do, like the old school mall photo booth that you can pop in and take pictures, which is kind of cool. And it's a neat place, especially if you're an old school Disney person. It's neat to go up into the Imagination Pavilion again and peek around. It's got a great view too.
I want to go.
I think this is fun. I also think it would be fun if they put in DVC merchandise up there. Believe it or not, I think this would be a good place for them to make
absolutely.
some money.
I agree with
absolutely, and have it so that whatever you purchase, they'll take back to your resort.
Yes.
That would be brilliant.
Genius.
That's where you can make some money. That's what. See,
right?
That's what we're here
Value
for.
added.
We're helping my Disney stock. Come on, Disney.
Your Disney stock.
I agree.
Hey, Joe, you sure you want to bring Bob and Tim up there?
No, he didn't say Bob. Keep this in mind. I just want, for the record, we'll rewind the tape, Tim. He said, Tim, I will take you up there. Joe, up to here with me. He's had it up to here with me. 2 days, that was it.
Listen, he saw where they put you at All-Star Music.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, this
going
ain't
anywhere with you anymore.
This guy, loser. That's what he was saying. He's like, man, do you see how far back he is?
What's an All-Star, guys?
Oh, wow.
You wouldn't understand.
Really?
You wouldn't understand.
Hey, Rebecca, grab that taser you got, will you?
Yeah, and that's why I always travel with a taser. Those cabanas at the Magic Kingdom, Emily? They're kind of like that, but not as nice.
Joe, what do you got going on over there?
All right, and last but certainly not least, if you're in Walt Disney World for New Year's and you want to looking for something to do on New Year's Day besides watching football, the Disney Vacation Club is offering their New Year's Day brunch. According to the Disney Vacation Club website, Disney Vacation Club members and their guests are invited to attend a New Year's Day brunch on January 1st, 2017, and celebrate a brand new year to wish upon a star. It says you can enjoy a bountiful buffet, enchanting entertainment, and a dash of pixie dust. And some of the highlights include a delectable lunch buffet, visits by some of the Disney characters and some fairy friends, a sleight of hand magicians performing at your table, crafts and other activities for children, and an event photographer who will capture your special moments with the characters and provide a complimentary photo for you to take home. Now, some of the items on the menu, first of all, this is going to be at Disney's Contemporary Resort, and it's from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The menu includes, they have it divided into a few sections. The cold selections include a New Year's garden green salad with toy box tomatoes, cucumbers, and carrots. They have herb croutons, shredded cheese, a Zinfandel vinaigrette, and a creamy ranch dressings. They have all these weird names. They have Fairy God Sister fruit display with fairy dusted vanilla honey. So fruit with honey, Greek yogurt bar with granola, dried fruits, and berries. And the main selections are bacon, spinach, and feta cheese frittata, scrambled eggs with fresh salsa, Mickey waffles with warm syrup, with cream and warm blueberry compote, oven roasted potatoes, seasoned vegetables, and grilled chicken with maple ginger glaze. And then they have an assortment of croissants, muffins, brownies, so on and so forth. The price is $53.95 for adults, $29.95 for children ages 3 through 9. And then you have to add in tax and gratuity. So add in 6% Florida sales tax and another 18% please for your servers. So it's bringing you to about 60-something bucks. To me, it's only 2 hours long. It's You're getting less food than you would get at Chef Mickey's. However, you're essentially paying to have a smaller meet and greet with the characters in my eyes. So if this is something that you're looking to do, and I get some good pictures with the characters, and you're not looking to go just to eat yourself crazy, this might be a good thing for you. So there you go.
And that's only for DVC. Good. I'd do that if it wasn't just for DVC.
Sounds like a blast to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you have less food choices than Chef Mickey's, but it sounds like it's going to be more intimate, more exclusive. I'm using air quotes. Not as crowded and crazy.
Right.
So I'm sure it's going to be in one of the ballrooms on the third floor.
Yes, in Fantasia.
There you go. So
and grabbing some characters that you wouldn't necessarily get to meet and greet at a dinner or breakfast. That's not bad.
And the photo ops is nice too.
I mean, compared to the other two brunches, like the Narcoossee's and the they're not quite on par. You're not comparing apples to apples, but the price is not bad.
No, it's about the same as anything else.
Well, I think Cali Grill's brunch is $89 a person, thereabouts.
And it is also New Year's Day, so if you're thinking price differential, these are going to be the highest rates.
Yeah.
All right.
I love it.
Tim, we got a question?
We do have a question. We have a question from Brittany and Justin, who were nice enough to send us an open we used earlier this month. They asked, we are considering buying a small contract from Disney and a second through the resale market.
Do that too.
Exactly. But they want to do it at different resorts. They're asking, is it possible to use the total number of points from both of those to book at one of our 2 home resorts 11 months out? They said, thanks so much. We love the show. And that was Brittany and Justin.
So no is the answer.
No.
We've got the same thing going on. We've got Grand Floridian in Saratoga. We bought Grand Direct and Saratoga Indirect. And we can only use the points for the particular resort at the 11-month window. So the short and easy answer is no. You can use them, you can combine them at the 7-month window. That's no problem. And what a good way to do it is to book trickier days, like weekend days, with your 11-month window, and then just hope and pray by the 7-month that you'll be able to snag the less popular weekdays. So that's what I do a lot of times. It leads to more stress for me because I don't tell Matt necessarily that our reservation isn't completely confirmed. But so far I've gotten lucky. So there you go.
Brittany and Justin, though, if you're that organized that this is your plan already, you could just buy from one resort. And if you're that diligent that you're going to be the person both at the 11-month mark and the 7-month mark, you'll get your resort that you want most of the time. I mean, you're not going to struggle to get your resort. So if you're that organized that you're that person, right at that right threshold, you'll be fine. So don't feel like you have to get 2 resorts just to, rotate off to a different place. You'll be okay.
Unless, and Joe backed me up on this, unless you're Run Disney people, in which case you're always going to struggle to get those 11 month. Yeah, because we have had a lot of wait lists for especially for Wine and Dine and for Marathon Weekend.
You know what? Great point. But one of the DVC Resort Loop Roundtable members has a home he's not using in Daytona Beach.
My wife is there. So.
She's right, though, right?
Sorry, John.
If she doesn't bite, I'm good.
Yeah, I think that I think it's getting a little tougher to book at that 7-month window. At least from what I'm seeing, it's getting a little trickier to book at that side in some of the more popular resorts, especially because you're seeing a lot less slow periods than we used to have. So, generally speaking, I think Chris is absolutely right. But if you have certain dates that you absolutely positively have to go that year every single year, then I would buy where you want to stay at the 11-month window.
Now, guys, full disclosure, Brittany and Justin are very good friends of mine. I was in the show open with them, so just wanted to get your guys' opinion since we're all talking right now. They were interested in doing a contract at Animal Kingdom Lodge and Beach Club. What do you guys think? More, I know Brittany was looking for the concierge level rooms. What do you guys think about them doing contracts at Animal Kingdom Lodge or Beach Club?
I think those are great ones that they need to buy at the resort if they want key, like concierge or key dates.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah, the beach club too, Joe. You know, it's the smallest one. It's one of the smallest ones, so it might be the hardest ticket or one of the
and
hardest.
Incredibly popular.
Yeah, incredibly popular. If they want that exactly right, they have to kind of buy in there. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brittany and Justin, there's your expert answers right there.
Now, I will say we did get a week at the beach club in September, I think, and that was no problem because it was sort of the slower season. So if you know when you're going to travel, if you're not Run Disney and you're going to travel in the off season, then you might get lucky every time. But I would still say you're thinking right.
And I think that they're starting to change so many things right now. Like, I mean, the news just came out that they're going to expand food and wine into August next year. So I really think they're trying to phase out any slow times in the park. So I think it's going to become. I think until they really get some new DVC properties up and running, I think that you're going to see a little crunch at that 7-month window.
Hey, Joe, did you say they wanted to focus on the concierge level?
I know that is one of their interests is the is using points for concierge level.
Be careful with the resale market. You know, the resale market doesn't offer you the same flexibility.
Okay.
So, isn't that correct,
now,
Emily?
So I don't think that they're excluded from concierge rooms yet. But I don't know that they could do that.
I like that caveat. Yeah.
Right. No, I think that they could probably they might be able to do that to contracts in the future, and I don't want to give them ideas, and I'm not sure if they legally could because I haven't really it's been a while since I've read the whole terms and conditions, but I will say that at this point I think they can still book concierge. The only problem is they should keep an eye. They might want to clarify that a million times with their guide.
Yeah, be sure. My spider senses is tingling. Something about the concierge is making me think something doesn't equate with the resale market listing. So research that really well.
You pay for that with your extra points. There's the point differential. So I think you're still paying for it as in essence. So I think it would be hard to structure that so you wouldn't be eligible for those rooms. Because they're not really a perk, they're part of the room.
I know as a renter, I can rent them. So there's a lot of perks that aren't open to me as a renter that are open to members, like the lounge and things like that. But I can still rent at concierge level.
Now, one last thing they were looking at doing possibly was doing a small contract direct from Disney to be eligible for these benefits, and then doing a larger purchase on the resale market. So I would assume that as long as you have some contract direct from Disney, you get the membership card, you're eligible. Even though those points were not purchased direct from Disney, you still, as long as they're entitled to all of the DVC, benefits. If they did it that way, then they would be able to possibly book those rooms at Animal Kingdom Lodge.
So, except that they could do that if they had a small contract. However, they can't use the points that are not direct. For example, we can only use our grand points for, say, a cruise. We cannot use our Saratoga points for a cruise.
So if they bought, to say it's the smallest contract possible, just say it was 25 points or 30, whatever it is, they would only be able to use the 30 points for that would be it. If they had 200 points outside of that on a resale, those points could not be used towards those rooms.
So towards the concierge rooms, yeah.
So at this point, they still could.
Okay.
Yeah.
So unless they were to find a way that they could legally take away that benefit, which I honestly think is going to be too difficult, I don't think they'll do it. I really don't think. I mean, I think it's good to be wary, Chris, but I don't see them doing that because I can't see. I think the reason that they have the concierge rooms is because they were converting units, and they couldn't find a way to keep the concierge things separate than the actual resort's concierge level. So since they were converting, I think they just decided, okay, well, these will be special rooms then. But that said, what I guess the distinction I'm making is that if there's any direct perk that is directly related to the reservation, like I think they're still going to be able to go up to top of the world lounge, for example.
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
Right, but I don't know that they will be able to. But I know that they will not be able to use their resale market points for a cruise or for a concierge collection or all those other wastes of points.
Right.
So.
Okay. All those things you wouldn't want to use.
I mean other perks, exchange programs.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Brittany and Justin, you're going to have to let us know what you end up doing because we're very curious about this.
Absolutely.
I think they're thinking right, though. I think that their strategy is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. All right. Going to the DVC Spotlight Resort, Rebecca and Emily are going to team up to share one with us. What are we going to talk about, guys?
We are going to talk about Old Key West.
Ooh.
We shied away from this resort for many, many years because I'd always heard it was too far away from everything. And we were there earlier this month for the Wine and Dine race and stayed at Old Key West. We actually did a split stay. We stayed at Old Key West for part of our stay. We switched to Saratoga Springs and then switched back to Old Key West for the remainder of our stay. So we actually got 2 different viewpoints of Old Key West during the course of our stay, and it was really cool. So had a great time. Old Key West is actually the very first Disney Vacation Club resort that Walt Disney World built. And one of the quotes of Walt Disney was the quote, I think that we actually said a while back on one of the shows, I think Bob said it, was that Florida has the blessing of size. And if anything on property embodies that statement, it's Old Key West, because Old Key West is all about size. From the size of the resort to the size of the rooms, everything is just a little bit bigger. It felt like it was sort of back in the day when they really weren't worried about being economical with their plans. They were just sort of building for comfort and for the guest's pleasure. And it was built in 1991. It was actually named Disney's Vacation Club Resort in 1991, and then they changed the name in 96. So, like I said, it has really large rooms. That was the first thing. We both times we stayed in studios, although they do have a mix of studios, 1-bedrooms, 2-bedrooms, and I think they also have the 3-bedroom villas. But even the studios were much bigger than some of the other resorts we'd stayed in. And so I actually looked it up just to sort of see how big they were. They're actually close to 400 square feet. And both times we stayed, we had a corner unit and that overlooked the golf club or the golf course, which was amazing. I actually took a picture and sent it to Joe. I'm like, we're in your world now.
Thank you.
It's really beautiful. It's very laid back. You know how when you go into DVC, they always say, welcome home. I feel like this resort has that feeling. Like we were walking around a number of times and we actually had that feeling of just being in a Key West community and being in Key West and just walking around a neighborhood. It just truly had that feeling. That said, one of the things I was a little surprised by is a significant lack of sidewalks in certain places. There were a couple times when we were walking to and from either the main house or the bus stops or, just wherever, where I felt like we were walking in the road, and that was really the only option we had was to walk in the road. So it was a little odd, but it didn't take us long to get used to that. But the rooms are really great sized. They're set up really interesting with, the bed. They all have queen size beds in there, which if you're, used to, like John and I are used to a king size bed, it's not terribly bad to have to step down to a queen versus a full. So that was really nice. And they have the little kitchenettes in the studios. And the only thing I did notice about this one, and maybe it's because it's an older resort, is you don't have the split bathroom like you do in some places where you'll have the sink in one area and the lavatory and the toilet, or the toilet and the shower in another room. It's all in one room in the studio. So you don't quite have that convenience, but I brushed my teeth in the kitchenette and it was fine. So, it was fine. One of the things we loved about this resort is if you're going to stay and you're not really looking for a lot of park time, this place is amazing. It is truly a resort. It has 4 pools. It has a playground. You can rent watercraft. You can rent bikes. It has jogging trails, arcades, tennis courts. It actually has a sauna, which is not that Florida isn't all a sauna, but it actually has a giant lighthouse, and you go inside and there's actually a sauna in there. And so it is in every aspect a resort. And we found that we could very happily spend a few days at a time there and never leave property. The pool, like I said, there's 4 pools. The one we spent the most time at was the sandcastle pool. And the name says it all. It literally, if you loved building sandcastles as a kid, it is like your childhood dream come true, because everything is just like a giant, larger than life sandcastle, and it has a giant water slide, and the fact sheet says it's 125 feet. I don't really know what that means, but what I do know is I shot out of that thing like a cannonball. And did not expect it, because we're like, oh, it's only like 4 foot deep. How fast could you possibly? I came out of there like a rocket, and I had to go find my sunglasses because I thought it was going to be cool and leave them on my face. And that was a sad choice for me because I lost my sunglasses. But it was great. The pool is amazing. We did it a couple times. It's sort of enclosed for a little bit, and then you come out. So it's a lot of fun. It goes really fast, like I said. And we spent a couple of days there. We had run on Saturday morning. And so Saturday, the rest of the day, and then most of the day on Sunday, we spent just sort of lounging around the pool. And they just started offering poolside lounge service. And so if you're at the pool, a cast member will come by periodically, and you can order drinks, you can order food, and it all comes from the Gurgling Suitcase, which was a shining star of Old Key West. I literally, we got, when we arrived the first day, our room wasn't quite ready. And so being us, we're like, hey, let's go have a drink. And so we found our way to the Gurgling Suitcase. Now, guys, it's really tiny. It's about probably the size of the ResortLoop studios. I'm not going to lie. It's really tiny.
Like a suitcase.
Yeah, it is a suitcase. I think you can fit like 7 people in there. But you will not meet friendlier people. They have some great drinks there. I'm not one for the fruit drinks. I usually drink my alcohol straight or have a beer. And they do have a great beer selection there. But they had some really fun drinks. They had one called the Sultry Seahorse, which was just fun to say. And so I would order that occasionally. But they also have some really great food. They have these they have these things called conch. Is that how you say it? Conch fritters?
Conch. Yeah.
Oh, they were amazing. For bar food, it does not get better than that. They were amazing. And then as far as on-site dining, they also have Olivia's, which is a sit-down restaurant. We actually ate breakfast there after our race, and the food was absolutely perfect. It was exactly what you would expect from this sort of Key West location. I had shrimp, and it was perfectly done. Everything I had was delicious. Had some great drinks on the menu. And then if you're just looking for something quick, there's another place called Good Eats on the Go. And that's actually right beside the Gurgling Suitcase. And you can go in there and just get, whatever you need. One morning we actually got up, and one of the really great things about Old Key West is that they have a boat to Disney Springs. And it's a great ride. It's very relaxing. The boats come and go relatively quickly. And so one morning we got up, and we had slept in, relatively late. So we got up and we're sort of wandering down a little turtle crawl. And the boat happened to be there. And I'm like, well, do you want to just get on the boat and take a ride over? So we got on the boat, took a ride over, and it literally lets you out right across from Joffrey's. So
perfection.
I had my morning coffee, and we actually did that twice. One day I had coffee, one day I had tea. But it was perfect. It was absolutely, it was a convenient ride. It was relaxing. We got our coffee. We wandered for a few minutes and then just took the boat back over. As for other transportation, you can get buses everywhere else. The one thing I've noticed about some of the DVC resorts that is unlike the value resorts and the moderates even is a lot of times those resorts don't have specified waiting areas for each part. So one day we were headed out in the sort of mid-afternoon to go over to Epcot, and it was a really busy time. And we got to the bus stop, and it was just packed. And there's no real designation, and Emily, you won't understand this, but at the All-Stars, you have line to go to Epcot, and it's very organized and roped, and there's no, you're not going to get confused. Here, it was just a couple park benches, and you wait there. And I think typically that probably works out great. That particular day, it did not work out great because the Epcot bus pulled up, and there was just like this mass race to the bus. And tensions got a little high, and somebody who does not listen to this podcast was not being nice, Bob. And there's a little bit of
I need a name. Give me a name. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Words, and it was like we kind of looked around for a cast member because we thought something was about to happen. So, that can all be avoided by, like Bob says, just being nice and waiting your turn. And here's a shocker: if you don't get on that bus, there's another one coming. So just relax. But it was kind of a tense moment, and we couldn't understand why they didn't have it better, set up. And John just said because they expect people to behave better at the deluxe resorts.
He's right. Yeah, absolutely.
I think sometimes the sense of entitlement may just climb at that point. I don't know, but the other thing about the buses is pay attention to where you are versus where you need to get on and get off, because there's a lot. This is a huge resort. And the bus makes a ton of stops, and so we always thought the easiest way to get to where we were going is to find the bus stop closest to where our room was and get on and off of that every time. And what we very quickly learned is because it makes so many stops, if you are one of the last stops, sometimes it pays in time to get off at a different stop and walk over to your room, because it just takes so much less time. So that's one of the little tips that we quickly picked up on that. It's a great resort. It's a little bit older. I can't tell if it's dated or if that is just the decor. There was nothing dirty or run down, but the pastels kind of threw me a little bit. So it's a gorgeous resort. We had a really relaxing time. The cast members there are really laid back and friendly, and I just don't have anything but good things to say about this place. We will definitely be back. And as a renter, or if you are trying to be economical with your points, this place is a winner every time. It is going to be one of the least amount of points per stay that you can find. The only other rival that really it has is Boardwalk, and that's based on, because Boardwalk is also so big. But just as a comparison, I just ran a week in December on how many points it would take to stay at certain resorts. And so if you're looking at Old Key West for a week in December, you would be looking at 76 points. For the same week at the Poly, for a standard view, you'd be looking at 118. At Bay Lake Tower, you'd be looking at 102. Like I said, Boardwalk is identical. It's at 76. Beach Club is at 107. So as far as point-wise and point value, you don't get any better than Old Key West.
So I just have a couple piggybacks for you. I would just say that the rooms, we have stayed in a 2-bedroom there. That's the only unit we've stayed in. And it was extremely spacious. It was bigger than most apartments I've ever had. And it was just a lot of...
1,300 square feet.
What's that?
1,300 square feet for the two.
Yes. Yep.
That's
literally
huge.
Bigger than most of my apartments. So it was so nice. We had my parents with us, and they were able to, be off in their own room. The only downside to the room that we were in is that I don't know if you experienced this at all, but it seemed like things were noisy. Like we could hear through the walls a little bit more easily than we were.
Yeah.
Yep. And we also were there for marathon weekend, which was tricky because we had done the 10K, but we weren't doing the half or the full. But we could hear the fireworks from our room in the morning, and we could hear people getting ready. So I think it's a big favorite with runners. It's great. I mean, there's something really magical about being there on a race weekend, because it seems like everybody there is running something.
Yes, we were among probably hundreds at breakfast wearing our medals that morning. It was like a community. It was a community. It really was.
Really, and what you mentioned about the buses, there are so many different stops. I think there's actually an inter-resort bus.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Right. So keep that in mind when you're trying to get to a resort or something. Make sure you're not hopping on a bus that's just going to loop you around forever in there.
Lyft was actually, we used Uber and Lyft a lot on that trip.
Did you?
Yeah. We were eating a lot at other resorts, and we didn't want to make the exchanges. So it was convenient and easy and worked out well for us.
It is. I would say that the buses were plentiful, and the other nice thing is because it's what, 2 stories. I don't even think it goes higher than 2 stories.
No, we didn't have an elevator in our building. I don't know if that's true about all buildings, but our particular building did not have an elevator.
So our building did have an elevator, and we were on the first floor. And actually, maybe we didn't have an elevator. Now that I think about it,
when we switched over to Saratoga, we did. But when we came back to Old Key West, neither of our buildings had them.
One thing to keep in mind, and not to be scared of alligators all the time, but there are a lot of waterways. So if you do have young kids, keep in mind that the balconies they overlook the pretty waterways, things like that, and make sure that if you're getting a ground floor unit, that your kids aren't the kind that are going to be able to climb over the balcony wall. So if you are bringing little kids that you think might be escape artists, you may want to go to the 2nd floor, just to give them the added deterrent of some height. So
some bars.
Right.
So he'll knock himself out first before you fall.
You're going to make it easier for the alligators.
Right. Maybe some shred of self-preservation will keep them from going over the edge. But
yeah, if you're a golfer, it's a great location. I mean, the golf course is really beautiful.
And for adults that aren't going to go throw themselves over a bar, you can just watch.
I throw myself at bars all the time.
Well, sure. But you don't throw yourself over. You go directly in, like I do. Yes. But you can just watch the animals. You can watch the birds. You can sit there on your little patio. And I'm sorry, it's like an enclosed patio. It's got a balcony around it, or a perimeter. But you could just sit there you could sit there all morning and watch. It's like almost like Animal Kingdom in that you're just watching the natural Florida wildlife. And then I don't know, when you said you had shrimp at Olivia's, did you have the shrimp and grits? Yes. Because oh my gosh, so good,
so good. And I had something that was green, a drink, and it was also fabulous.
Oh, how fun!
Now, Joe, if I could, Bob, if I could chime in real quick about Olivia's, just real quick. Olivia's is the sit-down restaurant at Old Key West, and it's got a really cool vibe where you walk in and it has pictures of all DVC members throughout the years, and you can see some of them are from 10, 12 years ago, and they put them all up on the walls. And it's a very bright restaurant. It's not real big. It's attached to the Gurgling Suitcase. It's got a very relaxed, almost feels like a diner feel. But let me tell you something. My wife and I got a last-minute ADR the night after Thanksgiving, and I had the buttermilk chicken, and it was amazing. And honestly, like, I'm the first one to say when something Disney isn't good, this is definitely in our rotation. They have something for everybody. They have some seafood. They have some prime rib. They got chicken. They have a bunch of salads if you're into that. The service was quick. It was fast. And I know with using Tables in Wonderland, my wife and I, we both had the same thing. Dinner with the tip was like $36.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't expensive at all. And the best part is that either when you're waiting to eat or when you're done, you walk out to the Gurgling Suitcase, and the whole resort's got like a cool vibe. Like, even if the bar is small, you take your drink and you kind of walk out, and there's that little balcony there with the water. And it's just if it's a nice night out like it was, last week, it's a great vibe. So Olivia's,
it really does feel like you're just in the Keys.
Yeah, Olivia's is just a lot of the people you go to Disney a lot will say it's like the best kept secret. It's a great restaurant, great food. If you have the time, give it a shot. We loved it, and we're putting it in our rotation. It was really good.
We will definitely be back to both to the resort and Olivia's. It was fantastic. Okay. And they have the pictures, but then they also have over the years. Rescue workers and military have brought in badges and
patches,
shields for their patches, and they are displayed all over Gurgling Suitcase. And
if you're a public service, cool. If you're in like law enforcement, first aid, fire, you'll find patches from your neck of the woods, like from all 50 states worldwide. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and just a heads up for those of you who are super excited about all these things that we've just mentioned. We were going to stay there in January, and I believe that they are doing some pretty significant renovations to the Gurgling Suitcase, the Sandcastle area. So just consider that when you're making your reservations. You may want to find out when they are. Now, I will say I once tried to plan a trip around a refurb at the beach club, and we still somehow, even though I booked it for well after it, they still never finished the refurb before we actually got there. So we were still in the old version, so I haven't seen the new rooms at the beach club villas if they have yet finished them. But something to keep in mind is that those amenities may not be available at least this early spring. So it was enough to make us change to Animal Kingdom because we were really looking forward. Oh, you know what we forgot to talk about, because you probably did not go there, Rebecca, is the community hall.
I did poke my head in to see if they had DVDs.
They do. I can tell you.
They do. Yeah.
I've rented them there. But I will tell you, this community hall is really unique among all the community halls. It feels like somebody's old den. It's huge. It's packed with puzzles. It's got all these. It really reminds you more of a relative's vacation home more than any of the other resorts, because it just has so many sort of homey kind of
I just feel like the whole resort felt like that.
Right,
exactly. We were at my grandfather's condo most of the time. It just felt like home. It really did.
Hey, Emma,
I can. That reminds me of Hilton Head. Believe it or not. Go ahead.
Emily, I can confirm that the pool, the Sandcastle pool, is going to be closed for routine maintenance. They call it a full resurfacing in January and February. So I can confirm that the pool's going to be closed. And it looks like, according to the Disney files, they're offering a tour now. It's a free tour. I don't know if you know anything about that. Yeah, a complimentary tour beginning in Papa's Den. Yeah, it's called The Legend of Conch Flats. It's Wednesdays and Saturdays at 10 o'clock. It's between 45 and 60 minutes. It's a walking tour of the Hospitality House area, and it reveals how the Imagineers created this oasis through a imaginative weaving of historical fact and charming fiction. It's suitable for everybody. There's no age restriction, and there's no registration or cost. So,
now, as a resort geek, that is up in my alley.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Right? That's the coolest thing.
Yeah, give this place we shied away from this because we knew it was older. And we didn't think and we knew it was a little bit further away from some place. And we're like, we wouldn't enjoy it. I got to tell you guys, we were really pleased with this place. We would definitely
go back. Lot of soul.
Excellent.
It does. Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, Tim, there you go. I think we need to go to Olivia's. You're going to get to go with Joe up into the lounge.
You sure you're allowed at Olivia's?
Not me. We're unhappy about the bungalows everywhere. And
a bungalow cabana.
And Tim, that is all I've got for the DVC Roundtable tonight.
Awesome. Before we wrap it up, Joe, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at JoeQuat and on Instagram at the same place at JoeQuat. And also running team at ResortLoop.com, our Resort Loop Rocketeers team. You can email myself and Emily over there.
Speaking of Rocketeers, Emily, where can people find you?
Same Rocketeers location, chasing after my children at home, and and following along with bated breath at ResortLoop.com.
Fantastic. And Chris Malik, you have a little podcast you're in charge of also.
I do. On Twitter at Disney Chicago, you can search my name on Facebook, or my podcast is the WW Review. So search that out on Facebook as well, please.
I said, Rebecca Toon, where are you at?
I'm on Twitter at Rebecca Toon and Facebook by the same name, and I'm always over at Looper Nation Live.
Oh, that's right, Looper Nation Live over there at Facebook. Everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott. This has been The Gateway to the Magic.
See you, everybody. With 4 theme parks, 25 resort hotels, hundreds of dining and shopping locations, and seemingly innumerable special events and ticket options, planning a trip to Walt Disney World can seem overwhelming. That's why the ResortLoop.com podcast has teamed up with People Mover Travel to help you get the most magic out of your Disney vacation. People Mover Travel will walk you through every aspect of your next Disney trip, from ensuring you get the best discounts to FastPass Plus and dining reservations and so many other things. Best of all, there is no fee for their service. That's right, you get your very own expert Disney vacation planner at no cost to you. For more information and to request a free, no-obligation quote, visit peoplemovertravel.com.